Hi everyone and welcome to your daily guidance. This is tarot and oracle and astrology and everything all in one because so very many people have reached out to me that they're in pain, that they're suffering, that their lives are just falling apart because of, a psychological state that I have to compress this reading because today I just simply don't have the physical time to do it in great detail. So this is like everything in one place. And the reading is opened by the Ten of Wands reversed. And for this represents different things for different people because this is like the weight of our crosses is just impossible to bear right now, and we're collapsing, we're cracking. Our psyches are imploding on us for different reasons, of course. So, for some people, this is about material issues, about their careers, about their jobs. For other people, this is self worth. This is where, they heal themselves because they have done a lot of work. And today gives the false impression that everything was in vain and they're back to square one. And for some people, it's like the past 10 months or past 10 years worth of inner work and therapy and all of that. So for some people, this is massive. This is really, really bad. While for others, still, it's other people relying on them, be friends, family, loved ones, partners, people basically who you cannot say no to. So this is becoming a really unbearable energy, and that is exactly why the Princess of Cups is reversed, because you have to nurture yourself, but nurture everyone, or simply find the emotional strength not to let your cross crumble down upon you. Or for other people, still, this is where you cannot allow what you receive from media, from the internet, from other people to drive you totally insane. So this is a very hard energy for everyone. And you see the Two of Swords follows. So if you are a person who has to make any kind of decision right now, well, give up all hope because you cannot make a decision. It is absolutely impossible. So, if there ever was a time when you just have to be maximally patient, when you just have to be ignorantly blissful, well, that time is right now. Because, ignorance is not a positive thing, but there is times when it's absolutely necessary, because let us not forget that we're human beings. And when certain times come when we're aware of everything, no problem with that, but we're totally helpless, then what does the awareness do? Well, nothing really. Because we can plan and struggle all we want. It's like when a fly tries to get to the other side of the window, but it cannot see that it's a glass, they're preventing it. So it struggles and struggles and struggles, and many times it exhausts itself and it collapses. So this is where we have to be wise enough to know that right now there's an invisible wall that prevents us from reaching total clarity, empowerment, groundedness, anything. So we have to, respect it. Even if it's negative, even if it's a big challenge, even if it's driving us mad, we have to respect it. A spiritualist of my culture once said that, when the universe offers you unbearable hardship, the worst thing to do is try to struggle immediately, try to ambition yourself immediately, because, when someone gives you a present, a gift, it is only yours when you accept it, when you receive it, when you put your hand on it and take it. And after you take it, it's yours, you possess it, you are the owner, and you can change it. For example, when someone gives you a ring and it's either too big and too small, well, you don't reject it, you don't throw it back in their faces, and you don't send them back to the jewelers, but rather you accept the gift, you say thank you, and the next day you go to the jeweler and you fix it, you make it fit you. And life and karma is pretty much the same. You have to accept it, and only after you accept it can you change it. And this is how everything works in life. Because once you refuse it, if you say, well, I don't want to live this, I don't deserve it, why me? Why not my neighbor who has been a bad person all their lives? I don't want this, I cannot bear this, etc. Well, that's not helpful, especially when there's a very karmic moment, because it is a gift, like it or not. You have to accept it. You have to make it a part of your life, a part of your awareness, and analyze it your own unique way, with your own standards, your own truth, your own mind, your own methodology basically, and try to find solutions more peacefully than assertively. And when you try to get a grip on it, because you accepted it, you made it part of your reality, you made it part of your journey and your soul. So you said to the universe, I'll accept this, thank you very much, but please allow me to modify it. Please allow me to make it my own in a way that it suits me the most. Then the universe also gives you the directions, because then you can change it and you can even eliminate it. But you can only eliminate it, you can only throw it in the bin once you realize that it's yours and you possess it. And that means that you have the liberty, sovereignty, authority to do whatever your heart desires with it. And if you cannot deal with it in the present moment, no problem at all. You can just put it on the shelf a different time. But this is not repressing it. This is not burying it. This is just writing it on your list, on your to-do list for the future, for a better occasion, for a more favorable, fortunate time when the energies are not this chaotic and heavy. You need to become aware that this isn't that much personal. This isn't about you and your fate, you and your karma, you and the universe. This is much more about the universe and humanity and its own karma, and you're part of it, like it or not. So you have to share it. Like it or not, it is your gift as well as absolutely anyone else's. And this is where everyone has to play their small part in this, to alchemize it, to transmute it, to do something with it. And when a vast majority of people, for example, more than 50% have already begun doing this, then progress, evolution, the transition continues, and we head into a much more stable future where clarity reaches us. And the last three cards, the Justice, the Eight of Coins, and the Chariot, is the message and advice of the universe. Because what does the Justice tell us? Well, this is a moment of divine justice. This is a moment of ancestral trauma coming to the surface, and we have to deal with it. Because yes, absolutely, it wasn't always us personally who done the grave injustice. It might have been our ancestors or whatever, but we are alive right now today, so we are the only people who can solve this problem. And just think about a human legal system, a human trial, when you have been wronged and then you go to court and there's hearings and a lot of time has to pass and it's very uncomfortable. And of course, if the injustice was grave, you cry, you break down, you wish for this all to be over. But there comes the moment of the sentence. When the sentence is in your favor, well, then you are going to be overjoyed. Well, then in that moment you're going to find closure, and you're going to say that, well, all of this was worth it because there is justice in the world. So this is exactly what's happening on a large, symbolic karmic scale. This is when we're being trialed for what our ancestors have done, for the way we directed and managed, our collective fate when everything was in our hands. And this isn't injustice because we are getting what we deserve. The justice isn't reversed, it is upright position. So we are reaching balance. This is like a mediation process. We are not being judged, we are not being punished, we are just being invited to negotiate, to reconcile, to give the Caesar what belongs to the Caesar and the divine what belongs to the divine. So this is like smoking a peace pipe, just that not everyone perceives it that way. And when it's a trial, there's evidence on the table, so we have to look at the evidence and acknowledge it. We cannot ignore it. We can only reach a reconciliation. We can only reach a middle path once we look at the evidence and say, well, I'm really sorry it happened this way. Please allow me to bring solutions. Let's make it work for both of us. But of course, this isn't both, because there's so many sides to the story, but still it is like a mediation process. And the card which follows, the 8 of coins, the universe says, let's not be afraid, let's not be paranoid, let's not be doom and gloom, because this is a moment when it actually wants to hear our true desires and wishes. And in order for the divine mind to, become aware of what we wish in our heart of hearts, well, it has to stop an end to illusion. It has to stop an end to manipulation. It has to put us on hold. It has to quarantine us, basically. It has to stop the earth from revolving for a couple of cosmic seconds in order for us to find out what we truly wish to experience. Because, there's so many divine downloads, but that is a two-way process. This is where we are uploading what we wish onto the universe, and upload, just like download, needs a bit of time. It needs the data stream, basically, to be completed. So we have absolutely nothing to be afraid of, because we're building our futures. We are uploading what we'd like to experience, but in an authentic, heart-based level. We don't need to worry that much about the mind. We don't need to worry that much about, the mental processes, because that is a given. That is granted. We have all the technology, we have all the research, we have the North Node in Gemini, so that is the biggest strong point that we have. But the weak point is actually the heart, because what do we desire deep inside our hearts, uninfluenced by anyone? And you know what we desire? Because many people don't realize this. What we actually desire is a life of peace, where we can just be at peace, where we can just live, where we can just go out and see and look at the birds and the bees and see and say, oh, how beautiful everything is. Everything is so divine. That is what most of us desire. We desire simplicity, just that we live in a overly complicated world where simplicity is no longer an option, and this is exactly why it's so hard for us. But this hardship is more like an illusion. Like, for example, if a homeless person who has been homeless all their waking lives from the moment they were born, because there are cases like that, and they're okay with that existence, they can survive, and they're not full of poison, they're not full of toxicity, and they don't envy anyone, then why can't the rest of us be like that? And last but not least, there's the Chariot. We are making progress. We are heading towards our futures, but we are not in control. This isn't like a steam train where if we put a lot of coal on the fire, if we heat things up, it's gonna go faster. No, this is like a boat, a sailboat, with no pedals, with no motor, with no anything. So it's going with the flow. The wind, the karmic winds are our only drive, our only propulsion, and it is what it is. We have to wait this out. So let's not panic. Let's not be filled with rage. let's not be filled with anxiety, because we personally lived much worse times than this. For example, think about it. When you were a student and there was an exam which you weren't really prepared and you knew it, well, didn't it feel like the end of the world when you stepped into the exam room and you were still okay and you still passed, and it was okay, and at the moment you realized that, well, look, I'm alive, it's all good, I was helped, I was an ingenious, I figured things out even without having to study it that much. Well, it felt like you were the champion of the world, and this is exactly what's gonna happen right now, just that we need to wait it out. We are gonna pass this exam, we are not stupid. We are ready for this, just that this is a moment of blockage when we have to be patient, we have to be wise, and we have to support ourselves. And this was exactly the essence and the reason of this big standstill when the earth stopped revolving symbolically, for us to prepare for this moment. But have we prepared? Yes, some of us have, but others were making a profit out of it. So, how can we be united? How can we be in harmony with one another when some people are just crooks and they are always gonna be crooks, and other people are trying their best? That is exactly the leitmotif of the chariot, the duality of it, Mars and Neptune in Pisces. What is the solution to get our chariots going? Well, either we go and kill off all the crooks, which is definitely not gonna happen, or we just accept that there are some people who are crooks and we can live with it, because the moment when we become aware that they're crooks, if we don't support them, that there is nothing they can do more. They just have to go with the flow just like anyone else. But we have to give them the message, well, look, I know that you're a crook and I forgive you, but stop doing it right now. That is all it takes. But at the same time, have we learned anything at all from the ascended grandmasters, so to speak? Have we actually learned the lesson of forgiveness, or have we just learned the total opposite? Vengeance, wrath, lock it up for life, give the lethal injection. So you know that you may be a person who has lived a dignified and honorable and just and moral and spiritual and compassionate and self-sacrificial life all your waking life, basically, but you share the same reality with others. This is a game of team play and not individual, so please, accept the fact that the big miracle is not gonna happen in your life to make it everything okay for you, regardless. Well, because this is a team game. Even if the miracle would happen in your life and you'd be perfectly happy and blissful and whatever, well, you're in a team. The rest of your teammates, the crooks for example, would instantly jump on you and take everything that the universe gifted to you. So the universe is not stupid. So please be patient, because all of us are definitely on the right path, but collective healing is not very easy. It is very hard, and history has shown us that every time when we reach a certain limit of cruelty, things happen in the world. For example, this is just a small example, there was a karmic explosion on the 12th of January 2020 when Saturn met Pluto in the sky. 504 years ago, the same thing happened, and it coincided with the Protestant movement when Martin Luther challenged the institution of the Pope. Everyone could have the right and the liberty and the freedom to interpret the Holy Scripture for him or herself, and that took away centralized power, because in that period of time, Pope and the Church was centralized power, and it happened, and surprise, surprise, a plague also, entered the world, and it was a short-lived one. So nothing is really new, is it? We've been through this before. And look where it has gotten us. Look where the gesture of that cleric has done to the world. It led us to space exploration. It led us to be able to contain antimatter. It led us to be able to communicate with each other regardless of where we are in the world, regardless if we are not even on the planet. For example, the International Space Station, we can still communicate with them. So look where it has led us. It's gonna be the same pattern. So let's have faith, let's have hope, and let's look at history that we're not in doom and gloom. It is just a transition. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. Everyone a safe and a stable day. Until next time, bye for now.